Okay, so here's a couple of solutions that we feel work well and we've seen done well in other programs. So I put up in the context of coaching, it's the 3 C's. And so when we talk about values, we talk about standards, we talk about our objectives for the season. And I'll say to a coach, well, when was the last time you spoke about that? And I say, well, we spoke about it at the beginning of the season. Oh, well, that was 6 weeks ago. And so your message, it needs to be constant. I think that was another point of clarity from this morning's presentation. Ange's style is not changing over time in terms of how he wants these players to play, in terms of the behaviours that he wants to develop. It's absolutely constant. It's clear. There can be no room for ambiguity here. And if you're not able to pitch your message in a clear way, it will absolutely be misunderstood. It will be misunderstood. The more words you use, the greater the chance of misunderstanding. And when we talk about clarity, we talk about your systems and your symbols that you create. And so there's the game plan. It's written up. Here's the 3 key things we need to do today. If you want a great example of this, if you ever had the opportunity, you watch Craig Bellamy present to his players. Now, he's pretty tough and hard on them, but they love him, and he loves them too. There's a massive care factor there. But when he presents, I've seen him do it a number. It's run hard, make your tackles, fill the space. 3 key things that whole team is defined by. And then the other one is compelling. Yeah, there's another great YouTube clip. I couldn't play it because it's not really appropriate, but you could go and find it by a coach. He was up there before, actually, Mike Leach. Anyway, he's talking about how they failed to get their game plan across to their players because we just didn't make it compelling enough for this audience. And what I mean by compelling is you can think about this generation as the most distracted generation in history. Because of the fact that we're dealing with smartphones and technology and video games, the reality is our concentration span, it's switching all the time. And so when they're listening to you, and we talk about this with college athletes especially, if they go to school during the day. You know, we try to contain our players in a certain space, but if your team is coming on board with you every couple of days or 3 times a week, they've got other stuff going on in their life. If you can't make your message compelling where they want to listen to exactly what you have to say, you can't wade or cut through all of the other clutter that's going on around them. Does that make sense? It has to be really compelling. And for your message to be compelling, what do you have to be? You have to be massively compelling too. And so if you don't look like you're absolutely into this, and that was another key thing I loved about Ange today, there was no question that he is just totally captivated by what he is doing. If you were coached by him, you would pick that up in a second. I had a coach, his name was Tim McLaren, he's Olympic gold medal coach, coached me to 3 Olympics, and he would be at the rowing club before we got there at 4:45 in the morning, and then he would leave at 9:30 that night, consistently. And there was nothing else that he would rather be doing in a professional sense. And when you see that level of commitment and dedication from your coach, you don't mind rowing with blisters. You don't mind if the coach says, fellas, leave your phones alone and we're going to have a team meeting. You don't mind catching up for dinner, you know, once or twice a week and putting off anything else because there's nowhere else you'd rather be. Because you're seeing a phenomenal role model example of that, and that counts for everything else.